It's the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.
On the Lekker Rugby Pod, every posse of Cowboys needs a sheriff, and every podcast in rugby needs a big, brutal, random blindsider bar bouncer from the box. We have both in one man. From the light blue Bulls of the North, but he bleeds green and gold, literally bleeds. The grinder, the man with the plan, the cleanest cleaner in ruck history, the only player you can even imagine emulating Pieter Steph de Toy. They're both still learning to grow a beard. Bulls Box 7, Elrigh Louw.
Thanks for having me on. Good to be here.
Not everyone gets a special introduction. We're very happy to have you on.
No, I actually quite enjoyed that one. I think it was all fun and games, but yeah, no, it was good. Good intro.
It does raise an interesting question. Can you grow a beard yet?
No, not at all. I grow like a little neck beard, but no, I get a lot of grief about that one. So no, not at all.
Take some from Akker. His beard is now getting. I think it's a distraction at the scrum.
Yeah, no, he has a nice beard. I think it's quite as manly a beard as you can get one.
So first of all, we gotta obviously talk about the leg. We're not gonna stay there, dwell there. But how is it? We see you on Instagram doing stuff and going for Joel, maybe having a little hunting and so forth. But what's it really like, and where are you in the process of healing?
Yeah, no, look, it's going good. I saw the specialist last week or 2 weeks ago or Monday. He's very happy about the progress and everything. So no, it's good, but it's tough. It's quite a lonely journey. You go into Loftus, you see your mates training, gymming together, having fun, and you all alone. So there's good and there's bad. I just take it day for day, try to stay positive and finish it as soon as possible to get back onto the field. But no, it's going really, really well. I'm off the braces, off the crutches, so life is starting to be normal again. It was tough the first 3 months, I'll say, as I couldn't really move around with the braces and crutches. So no, it's going good.
Yeah, I guess the only good thing about an injury, the only good thing really, this big, can be that you find out, who your real friends are, who's around you, who's for real, who's fake. And also, I think you can sometimes find out a little bit about yourself. Well, what have you discovered so far in this kind of weird, suddenly you cannot go out there and run and jump and push?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think a lot of things get put into perspective for you in a time like this. I think, like you said, you find out who your real friends are, who's really there to support you when the times are tough. But no, I think for me personally, I really discovered that I still love playing rugby, and that's still what I wanted to do. I think for some other reason, just before the injury, um, it was almost like I was struggling a bit to find the positives and the fun in rugby. But as soon as it happened, I really realized that this is still what I wanted to do, and I still really, really love the game. So no, I'm as motivated as I can be to get back on the field.
Yeah, that was one of the things I wondered about you. You were always told you were made for rugby, but it doesn't always mean that someone wants to play rugby. It surprised me. Frans Malherbe told me that he never even really saw himself as a professional rugby player. He never saw himself as a Springbok ever. He just was going to be like a farmer or something. Did you always know that you could have this future, or was it just something that happened because you had the skills?
Yeah. No, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want to play rugby. I love rugby and I've always wanted to play rugby. It's just, yeah, sometimes you lose the motivation and the energy to do it. But yeah, I've always wanted to play. Since I was a young boy, I always wanted to be a Springbok, and actually always wanted to be a blue ball. So no, this has always been a love for me and a passion. So yeah, I'm just happy that I can actually live it.
I guess one good thing as well about being injured is you can work on your braai. What's your go-to braai? Tell us your all the parts of it.
Yeah, look, I've started on a little bit of a carnivore diet, so I'm braaiing a lot, 6 times a week. So no, the braaiing is going well. But I'll say a go-to. I love a scalp choppy, a lamb chop, and obviously steak. I do steak like 4 or 5 times a week. So no, braaiing
No,
is going well.
that's a good move. MV, I don't know if a bull says he wants to go on a carnivore diet, I don't know what that even looks like. Is it do you just go and punch the cow until he dies and eat it right there?
I'll tell you what, I was wondering about that myself. No, Elrigh, I wanted to ask you this. You're a tall guy. I mean, did you always want to play flank, or do you prefer maybe playing lock or eighth man or something? What's your favorite position?
No, flank and eighth man. That's my preferred position. When I came to the Bulls, I told Coach Jake that listen, I really want to come to the Bulls, but you have to promise me I'll never play lock, and he actually did. So no, uh, I won't say that I enjoy playing lock, but definitely loose forward and or 7, 6, 7, and 8.
I want to ask you this. I saw a picture of you in a Kings jersey, Southern Kings jersey. How did you end up with the Bulls? Number one, we're very happy to have you, and you're not going anywhere. So just make that point very quite clear. But how did you end up at the Bulls? Did Jay call you? Did your agents arrange it? Because there's a lot of talk about agents and likes. I want to know how that worked and how it worked for you specifically.
Yeah, it's actually quite an interesting story. I was signed at the Kings for 3 years. After my first year, COVID came. I came back to Pretoria and Vereniging, and obviously had lockdown here. And just after lockdown, as it started to settle, I had to go back to P. But then Coach Jake phoned me and asked if I would like to have a meeting with him, and I said okay. Obviously, I've always been a blue bull and always wanted to play for the Bulls. So I went for the meeting with Coach Jake, and look, he told me that he sees me as his starting number 7, and he would really love me to come to the Bulls. And obviously, I wanted to come, but Kings didn't want to release me out of my contract. I think I still had 2 years left. So yeah, I was quite bummed that I had to stay in P and couldn't come to the Bulls. But as fate will have it, just like a month or two after I went back to P, the Kings liquidated, and I was out of my contract there. And I phoned Coach Jake and just told him that I'm coming to Loftus. He got my suitcases packed and drove down, and from there the rest is history.
You said Jake wanted you to join the Bulls, and you learned a lot, I suppose, from Jake. But Jake, being a World Cup winning coach, a very successful coach of the Bulls as well. Talk to me about Jake as a coach and what you learned from him in being in that environment of such a successful coach.
Yeah, no, look, I think Jake's reputation speaks for himself. I think winning the World Cup, being as successful as he was, even in France and everywhere he has been, I've learned a lot. I really, one thing I did learn from him is trust. I think that's one thing that I had to have in him before I went to the Bulls, because of all of the names that was there when I had to join the Bulls. I think I don't think Marcel was there, but Arne Botha, Duane Vermeulen, or Sheep, Jacques du Plessis, all of those guys I had to compete with, and he just said that he sees me as his starting 7, and I think I benched 1 or 2 games and then started from there. So no, I think Jake is a real honest coach, and that's what you need.
Listen, I'm always going to feel a little bit weird, Elrigh, about the fact that once upon a time, your dad was going to go to a horse event. I think your sister was doing show jumping. He said, "Hey, Harry, just tell me what's going on in the game. Just pop me texts." And I was doing that, and that's the game you got hurt in. So I feel responsible for it in a weird way. And I'm also, if anyone's family ever says to me now, just do that, I'm not going to do it ever. But I wondered about sort of the background there. I think your mom is a teacher. Your sister rides. Were you also a show jumper or did dressage or anything like that?
Yeah, I was actually a big horse rider at the stage of my life. I did everything. I did endurance rides. I did show jumping. I did dressage. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I just came at this stage of my life, I think like when I was 16 or 17, where I just really didn't get time for it anymore as I started to focus more on my rugby. Yeah, so that part of my life is gone at the moment, but I still have a deep love for horses, and maybe one day I'll get back to riding horses as a hobby.
Anytime I've been around horses and people with horses, and I grew up around it myself, it's a lot of work. I mean, and the work goes on all
Yeah.
day. It's a long day. Do you feel like that prepared you well for the rugby business, which, as you know by now, is a grind?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, it prepared me for rugby, but I think it prepares you for most things in life. Yes, you had to wake up at like 5 in the morning to go feed the horses before school, and sometimes even you have to ride horses at 5 in the morning because you won't have time to ride them in the afternoon. So no, it was real hard work. And I did it for years and years and years. I did that every day. So it did prepare me. I'm not scared to work hard, and I think that definitely had a influence on it.
Yesterday, Andre Pretorius, former Bok 10, and I were going through the blind sides in South Africa and kind of ranking them in different ways. And obviously, Peter Steph Totoy is a man mountain. He's a legend. You're right there, slotted in behind them. And we were, Andre and I both were gathering clips. We were amazed at your carry and clean game nowadays. You take up a lot of space. You're tending now to ruck long. You take your man far off the ball. You're stretching him out, making him feel baptized. Is that a work on? It feels like you've added power in the actual contact zone, not just with the carry, but with the clean.
Yeah, 100%. I think obviously I always tell people your first season is an easy one. But then people start to figure out, and you have to work on smaller aspects of your game to really keep up. And that's one thing I really worked on. Not just to carry and to tackle, but to do the stuff that not a lot of people see, but that is looked at when you have to go to the box. And I think that's some of the stuff that I worked on is like you can't just die after you in contact. You have to recall, place long lengthen the ruck so the defense has to retreat. And obviously, rucking itself is a big aspect of the game. I think that's probably the thing that happens the most in a rugby game is a ruck. And if you can't clean properly, you get beaten to a ruck, neck rolls, croc rolls, stuff like that. It's gonna be bad for you. So no, it's definitely something that I worked on hard.
We picked up on many of your carries as well, that you got your cannon arm down there. So you get taken on the leg, someone chops maybe, but you keep your other arm alive. And then if they don't hold you, you can go again. And even if they do hold you, you can carry them for an extra yard, hard yard. Is that bulls, that box, or you're getting kind of the same messages overlapping from bulls and box at this point?
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of bulls guys that's in the box system at the moment, which is unbelievable. And I think that comes through from the box to the bulls. So no, it's definitely like you said, it's the same message coming from both ways.
How much talking is there out there? And like you go in phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, maybe you've gone 7, 10 meters away from the original ruck. Like what kind of messaging is going out there? Crowds roaring, defense is obviously shouting a lot, but how do you on attack communicate from Akker to Marcel to Kobus to you? How does that actually work on the field?
Depends in what minute it is, if I'm talking or not. If it gets later, even later in the first half, I'm not talking that much. But yeah, I think that's something that comes with playing with each other. Getting to know who's gonna carry, who's gonna tip. You get to know the guys. Obviously there is a lot of talking involved. But for me, I really get a feel for the players I play with, like Duane or Kia. I know exactly what he's gonna do just before contact, just by looking at him. So obviously there is talking, but for me, I'm more of a get to know the player that's playing next to me.
Yeah, and I suppose like obviously Cameron Hanekom is always looking to offload. Another player is not so much, so you kind of
Yeah,
learn that the number on the back of the jersey to have your hands
yeah,
ready.
no, definitely.
Um, Obviously the Bulls are an interesting team. I've been able to follow them a little bit this year. Been accused of being falling in love with the Bulls as a Stormer Western Province guy. That's a low blow.
Uh,
But you also a member of the most interesting team in the world in rugby in the box. And even though you're injured right now, you're absolutely a member of that team. I can see that you're still completely in that group. And the Box are the most interesting team in world rugby right now, not just because the documentary is so large, not because Rassi is such a huge figure, not because the back-to-back. It's actually just one of those teams that you cannot take your eyes off. So your first match for South Africa for seniors was in 2022 at Loftus against Wales, 51st minute. Tell us how that felt different coming into the Box. I mean, you'd played at Loftus, it's the same stadium, it's the same change room, but here you are coming out as a Bok. What was that like coming out, 51 minutes into that test?
Definitely a dream come true. I think I couldn't have scripted better myself. At Loftus, all my family there, full home crowd. Can I say? Um, Going out, getting some good game time actually, and then almost scoring a try. I think Faf broke and he offloaded to me, and I almost got over the whitewash. But yeah, they just just stopped the dream uh, being completely fulfilled. But yeah, no, it was just amazing. I think it's a dream come true from I was a little boy to always wanted to play Springboks and to just get that opportunity. They always say that it flies by, and I can definitely tell you that it does. I think I can't really even remember what happened in that match, to be honest with you. But I just I just know that it was an amazing thing to be a part of.
So who actually comes over to you? Or were you already doing the up and downs with the little vest on, or did someone come to you and say, "Hey, we think Franco's coming off. You're going on."
Look, like I said, I can't really remember, but I know I was warming up and I was ready to go. It wasn't a surprise for me when I went on. So no, it was definitely planned and how can I say it was I knew that I was gonna go on at that moment.
I would be so sure if I was in that situation, Envia, I'd be so sure that I would get red carded. I would come on, I'd be too hot, and I would just, give Liam Williams a clap, and there I'm on the naughty chair 1 minute later.
Yeah.
How do you control your emotions when you want so badly at your home stadium for the Box? You want to come on and make an impression, I want to be the hero kind of thing. Now you're 13 or so caps in, tests in, obviously it's different. You can manage your emotions, but did you find it difficult in that first one to just settle down and play rugby?
There was a lot of nerves involved, I can tell you that. But I think the environment at the Box is just so settled that it doesn't really feel like your first time playing for the Springboks when you jog on. You know exactly what's expected of you, and that is nothing special. That's just to do your work, and I think that gives you so much confidence when you go on that. Yeah, there is a lot of emotions, and you want to prove something, and you want to do something great. But just doing your job is something great for the Box.
I want to ask you, Elrigh, you mentioned environment, the Springbok environment, and you're also a senior player at the Bulls environment, in the Bulls environment. I've gotten to know Jake quite well. Harry knows him quite well by now. What's the difference between a provincial setup? I'm not trying to get you into trouble here, so please just tell me, what's the difference in the setup?
Yeah, I think obviously there is some sort of difference between the two. I think the the attention to detail and the smaller things, the way we analyze at the box is just at another level. I think the coaches there spend so much time preparing videos and clips and stuff for us to analyze. I mean, we analyze each and every player we play against. So yeah, small things like that. Just the intensity of training. There's definitely a difference between provincial and international rugby.
And also the difference between having to play week after week for 18 weeks, the URC, for example, as opposed to the tests where you play every now and again, very, very, very far fewer games. Does that make a difference? Because I suppose you just mentioned that you sort of ran out of enthusiasm at a stage a little bit because it's so much rugby that you have to play. In that sense, what's the difference there?
Yeah, and I think I don't know if there is clubs that do it like the Springboks do it for that amount of games, but my personal opinion is that you will be so worn out when you come to the playoff rounds if you treat your URC season like international season. So there's definitely a reason behind clubs doing it the way they are doing. And I mean, Springboks play, I think it's 15, 16 tests. How many tests are they
15
playing?
tests. Yeah.
15 this year.
tests.
Yeah.
So yeah, with more breaks in between games. So your ability to be focused and concentrate while you're at the Springboks, I think, is definitely better than playing week in, week out for your provincial teams.
Just lastly, from my side, you've been injured now, and you mentioned seeing your friends, your fellow players going to the gym and everything else. How much are you still involved at either the Bulls or the Boks, or are you sort of on the sidelines until you've recovered fully?
Yeah, obviously the Boks is a bit of a more difficult to be involved in. But at the Bulls, I'm quite involved. I go to trainings, watch trainings, chat ball with the guys in the gym, go to warm up match days, go to match days. So no, I'm still quite involved. There's just not much I can do. I can give my inputs and help guys out, but yeah. Other than that, I'm on my own doing my own rehab.
I was thinking about your exact cohort, your generation that's come into the Boks and come into South African rugby, come into the Bulls. There's not as much of I mean, I wouldn't say that the Boks were ever afraid of the All Blacks, but there was a lot of losing, and sometimes losing in the last minute, just weird tricks of fate almost. And nowadays, with 4 wins in a row, and I was reflecting on your career exactly. I don't know if you've lost to the All Blacks or if it's happened more than once. Now you go in expecting to win, and the belief factor is there. Is All Blacks still, though, to you, the greatest rival for the Springboks, or is there another team now that's also come up there?
Look, I think the All Blacks has cemented their reputation in rugby. And besides my rugby day or my Springbok debut in Loftus, playing against the All Blacks was definitely my highlight of my career. So I think that they are still in that position. But like you said, when you are winning, you become that team that everybody wants to beat. So it gets tough and difficult, but I think Coach Rassie speaks about it a lot. We need to be going forward. We need to be improving. We can't get stagnant in what we do, because then other teams will catch you and start to beat you. So no, in my opinion, if you ask me personally, I think the All Blacks will still be one of those teams that I would want to play against and I would want to beat.
I was at both of those matches, Ellis Park and then Cape Town. I think you were playing in both, right? Correct?
Yeah, no, I played
Yeah,
both.
and there was such different tests. What I liked about it was the Boks won a test where it was you had to score, and then I liked the fact that on the second test in Cape Town, just preventing the All Blacks from scoring a try. That's not easy to do. Stop the All Blacks from scoring a try. Hardly any other team's ever done it. On that test in Cape Town, it felt like also there was a huge bond between the players. I mean, just walking around for almost an hour post-match, having a good time. What do you think is building at the Boks right now? Do you feel like there's quiet confidence, or do we still have to always pretend to be the underdog?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. Like I said, I don't think you need to think you are the underdog, but I just don't think you must stagnate and think that you've got everything figured out and that you are the best, because that's where we get brought back to earth quite easily.
Yeah, you look at that, Ireland had a certain way of playing, and then people were studying it all the time and they caught them. The French caught them. Springboks now have the ascendancy in the rugby championship. You can believe that in New Zealand, all they're doing day and night is studying how to beat you guys. Are you confident that that Springbok rugby has enough in it to keep evolving with Felix and Tony and Jerry and these guys with new ideas to sort of stay on top? And how much do you think it's important on the ranking, or is it just about getting to the World Cup?
If you are on top, people want to catch you and people start to play with you or play like you and study you and do the things that they see you do, that they see working. So I think for the Boks, it's just to really keep working hard, and it's something that a Springbok does. So I'm not worried about that. But definitely the teams will be coming for us.
Ultimate warriors and professionals always respect their enemies, their opponents, their foes. Who have you come up against, club or country? Like just a couple of guys that just really stand out as being hard bastards, difficult to play.
Yeah, it is difficult because there's a lot of them. For me, really the toughest opponents is South African teams. Like I can honestly tell you that playing a South African team, you feel it much worse the next day than playing any other team. So yeah, and the pressures that comes with South African derbies makes it 2 times worse.
If you talked about your role models, who did you want to emulate, both South African player and maybe an overseas player that you looked up to?
Well, there's also a lot of names that come to mind when we speak about role models and heroes or what you want to call it. But for me, growing up, it was always Pierce Peace, as I was a blue bull. He was always the guy that I wanted to be like. And growing up a bit older, always Burger and Duane Vermeulen. And then obviously Richie McCaw was always a guy that I really wanted to play like.
Yeah, when I think about Richie McCaw, one I think about is decisions and his ability to read the ruck where the ruck was going to be. So he took great lines. He wasn't exhausting himself by running like a chicken everywhere. Another thing we saw when we looked at your clips, Andre and I, was your decisions at ruck. And that looked like something you're learning as well. You don't have to do everything at everyone, picking the right one to counter. And the counter ruck is such a devastating weapon nowadays when people count on that quick ball and then you counter ruck them at the right time. How have you, I don't know, matured? How have you grown in rugby where now you can pick the right spots to get involved?
Yeah, 100%. You need to pick your battles. And if you pick your battles wrongly, I think you're going to start losing more than you win. So no, I think your decision making as you get older, it gets more important. And like you said, Richie McCaw was an absolute great example of that. I think he wasn't the biggest and the strongest, but just the decisions he made at ruck time and even the way he approached the tackle, he knew exactly if he has to go high or low or front or side on tackles, stuff like that. So that's stuff you can't really teach someone. It's something you have to learn by yourself.
Your English is very good as well. How did you
They
pick that
say,
up?
no, look, my English, I have to buy airtime when I know I'm going to speak English, and it runs out sometimes.
I know the feeling. Same happens to me. I know when my
No,
English is done for the day. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Like I get a certain amount of words, and then it's just backwards from there.
Yeah, but being at Captain's Run in Munster with you guys, with your team, I did notice that there's every kind of Afrikaans being spoken on the pitch, every hybrid version. So it's all good. If you had to go back in time to 18-year-old Elrigh, knowing what you know now about the game, the sport, the business, all that, agents, everything, what advice would you give yourself?
That's quite a difficult question because I don't think that I would change too much. The way my path went, I think for me personally, I had to walk a bit of a more difficult road than some other players to get where I am and to be where I am. So no, I wouldn't change anything, but I'll just definitely just tell myself that to work hard gets the reward at the end of the day. I think that's just something that I've seen over and over and over is guys that just keep on working, keep on knocking, get the reward at some stage in life. It might not be when you want it, and I mean when you think you should have it, but it does come.
Yeah, well said. What a great chat that was. Thanks, Elrigh. MV, I think sometimes you get to know a young player like that and it kind of restores faith, work ethic, belief. Top man, he's going to do well.
Yeah. I must admit, I enjoyed that a lot. Make sure you don't miss that video that Harry was referring to, Andre, and Harry went into great depth, about what it takes to be a box bouncer, like Harry calls him, the blindside flank, the bouncer, the bar bouncer. And we did rate Elrigh this time because even though he's injured, we thought, he's the heir apparent. That's why we included him. So look out for that. I'm going to put the link up here. So Harry, next up, we've got another surprise guest. People will be happy to know. But we'll give you some more details later on. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
It's the Lekker Rugby Pod, only on Megaphone Rugby.